Jesus was married, Chapter 3 by Ogden Kraut, first printed edition, February 1969. Chapter 3, Rabbi Jesus, or Rabbi Yeshua. To understand the nature and mission of the life of Christ, or Messiah, one must first understand the lineage, traditions, and the religion into which he was born. History has accurately confirmed his birth, childhood, and adult life in a Jewish society. He honored Jewish laws. He taught in Jewish synagogues, and eventually became a Jewish rabbi. His life's mission was dedicated and foreordained to be part of the Jewish society, and the events of his life were ultimately fulfilled according to the prophecies of the ancient Jews. Unlike any other nation, the tribe of Judah was distinct in its moral and physical laws. The purpose of cleansing and purifying the body and soul was for a dedication and preparation of the Messiah, who would be born through the sacred lineage. Eating habits were restricted by spiritual laws to purify the blood, and marriage laws were jealously observed by the Jewish community to prevent introduction of contamination by any Gentile strain of blood. Every Jewish woman lived with the hopes and desires of being honored to bear the chosen Messiah and Savior of the world. From the fall of Adam, a Redeemer became a necessity and an expectation. Prophecy depicted the event, the time and the location of his birth, as well as many incidents in the life of this blessed Redeemer. It was the grand patriarch Jacob, who bestowed a patriarchal blessing upon the heads of his 12 sons, and Judah was given the distinction of receiving the promised lineage of this predicted Redeemer. Said Jacob, "The scepter of power shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be." Bereshit, Genesis chapter 49, verse 10. So were the faith and desire of the house of Judah as they anticipated this cherished event. They concentrated with an ample protective care on this sacred trust, and the noble examples of heroism and valor were scrawled throughout the pages of ecclesiastical antiquity. Upon the lips of all Judah was the consolation of the prophetic promise that his name shall be called Emmanuel, or God is with us, or God with us. And for nearly 1700 years, that promise continued to be repeated. The expected Emmanuel became a part of every sacrificial rite, prophecy, prayer, and even fused into their songs and psalms. The promised coming of their Messiah compelled them to a strict observance of all the laws of God. When Moses led Israel out of bondage, giving them God's revelation and law, or Jehovah, he pointed ahead to the time when a great prophet would come among them, like unto me. Deuteronomy, or Devarim 18, verse 15. This grand event was to be heralded by heaven itself, the guiding star, the light as day, and messages delivered by angels, thus confirming the fulfilling these ancient prophecies upon the child who was named Yeshua, who we know as Jesus. Among Judah, The 12th year was the time which separated a boy from his childhood. Then a Hebrew boy was called a bar mitzvah, which is son of the law, or a child of the commandment. This is a period in which he was to study and be taught by the wisest teachers in Israel, learning and studying the law and the Testament. Excuse me. There were annual gatherings, like conferences, in which many of these wise teachers gave instruction. 3 special annual feasts were particularly set apart for the instruction of young men. These were the feasts of Passover, and Pentecost or Shavuot, and the Feast of Tabernacles, or Sukkot. The Passover was the most zealously attended, and worshippers came from all parts of the land to commemorate the deliverance of the Israelites from bondage by the judgments of God upon the Egyptians. See Exodus chapter 12. At the age of 12, Yeshua ventured inside the great Jewish temple, and perhaps for the first time, he saw the paschal sacrifice of the Lamb. Robed men acting in the office of high priests. While hearing the sacred prayers of this nation and smelling the consecrated temple incense. But more important than this, Yeshua came into contact with the learned rabbis of Israel. It is supposed at this time that Yeshua spoke with Rabbi Hillel, whose teachings are recorded with high esteem in the Talmud. However, Yeshua was not taught by any rabbi. It was he who was teaching and answering questions of the councils, and they were astonished at his understanding and answers. Luke chapter 2, verse 47. Yeshua spent 3 days in the temple conversing with the learned elders of Zion. After the 3rd day, his mother had become aware of his absence and found him still in the temple speaking to the priests and teachers. She then proceeded to chastise him the way he had dealt with her. In reply, he said, "Wist ye not that I must be about my Father's business?" But they understood not the saying, which indicates that he was about his Father's business. His Father's business was teaching and instructing, not doing carpenter work as modern tradition teaches. His wisdom and understanding superseded all the learning of the councils, but he could not reveal all that he knew, nor could he expose all the existing evils within the empire. The prophet Joseph Smith explained, quote, "Our lives have already become jeopardized by revealing the wicked and bloodthirsty purposes of our enemies. And for the future we must cease to do so." And by the way, this Joseph is from the tribe of Ephraim. He was a pure Ephraimite. And he's not in the stick of Joseph, but he is a pure Ephraimite.